All right, let's talk about something we've all felt. You know that feeling, right? One job makes you feel on top of the world, just electric. And the next one? It just sucks the life right out of you. It's a feeling we all know, but what's really going on there?
Yeah, it's like this giant people puzzle. What is it? Is it your boss? Is it the actual work? The quote unquote culture? Well, believe it or not, there's a whole science dedicated to figuring this out.
And that science, it's called organizational behavior, or OB for short. You can kind of think of it as the secret playbook for the human side of, well, of everything at work. It helps us understand the why behind people's actions, and maybe more importantly, how we can build workplaces that don't just drain you, but actually help you thrive. So, to understand where we are today, we've got to go back, way back. We need to look at the original blueprint for how companies were built. And for a long, long time, the dominant idea was, well, kind of simple. The idea was to think of a company like a giant, perfectly oiled machine. And this pyramid, this was the classic design. Super straightforward. It had three core parts. You've got the people, the workers. You've got the technology, the tools are using. And then holding the whole thing together, you have this really rigid structure. And the number one goal for this whole machine? Efficiency. That's it. Just make it run as smoothly and predictably as possible. Now, every machine needs a user manual, right? Well, this systems manual was basically what we call bureaucracy, and it had these really clear rules. The chain of command, that was the wiring. Power just flowed straight from the top to the bottom, no questions asked. Specialization, that meant every single person was like a tiny specific cog, just doing one thing over and over. And the impersonal rules, they were like the oil, keeping everything moving without any friction. On paper, it looked perfect, totally predictable. But there was a huge problem. Turns out, people aren't cogs. They're not machine parts. So while this whole system was great for clarity and coordination, it had some major downsides. It absolutely crushed creativity. Good ideas from the bottom, they never made it to the top. And sometimes people got so obsessed with following the rules that they forgot what the actual point of the work was. The machine was running, sure, but it was basically grinding up the very people who made it work. And that realization, it sparked a total revolution in how we think about work. Suddenly, people started asking these huge questions. If we're not just parts of a machine, then what are we? What's going on inside our heads that makes us tick? What's the secret sauce that makes someone want to do a great job? And you can literally see our understanding evolve over time. At first, the thinking was super basic. S leads to R. Stimulus leads to response. Your boss yells, you work faster. Simple. But then we added a game-changing letter, O, for organism. That's us. That's the human being in the middle. We realized that people don't just react, they interpret the stimulus. Their thoughts, their feelings, they matter. And that led us to this much fuller picture, the SOBC model. It looks at the stimulus, the organism, the behavior that comes out of it, and this is so important, the consequences that follow. Which brings us to this really powerful idea from the psychologist Albert Bandura. He said our behavior is a continuous reciprocal interaction. Okay, that sounds a little academic, right? So what does it really mean? It means it's a two-way street. We're not just passively reacting to our jobs. Our own thoughts, our actions, and the environment we're in, they're all in this constant dance, influencing each other all the time. The bottom line, people are complicated, and our workplaces had to get a lot smarter to keep up. So with this new, more complex view of people, the old playbook for managers got thrown out the window. And in its place, 4 completely different models for how to manage people started to take shape. Okay, here's the whole story in one chart. This is really the heart of it. You can see the 4 models right across the top: autocratic, custodial, supportive, and collegial. But I want you to look at that bottom row for a second. Employee needs met. Just look at the evolution there. We start with subsistence. That's just getting a paycheck to survive. Then we move to maintenance, job security. But then look at the jump. We get to higher order needs. And finally, self-realization. That's the journey from just surviving to truly thriving. It's fascinating. Let's dig into each one. First up, the autocratic model. This is the classic my way or the highway approach. It's all about power. The manager gives orders, the employee follows them, period. Just picture a classic assembly line or one of those intense kitchens where the chef is screaming. The employee's main job is just obedience. It gets the job done for simple tasks, and it meets that most basic need, a paycheck. All right, next we have the custodial model. Now, the focus shifts. It's not about the boss's personal power anymore, it's about the company's money. Think of those big old-school companies that offered a job for life, a pension, all the benefits. The idea was to make employees feel safe and financially dependent on the company. You're not just obeying a person, you're dependent on the whole organization for your security. And it works, to a point. It creates contented employees. But let's be honest, being content is a long way from being fired up and passionate about your work. Then we get to the supportive model, and this is a huge step up. Now, we're not talking about power or money anymore. We're talking about leadership. The manager isn't a commander. They're a supporter. Their job is to help their team succeed, to help them grow. You see this a lot in tech companies, right? The manager's job is to clear roadblocks so the smart people can do their best work. This is where we start tapping into those deeper human needs, and you get real high-level performance. And finally, we have the collegial model. This one takes the supportive idea and pushes it even further. It's not just about support, it's about partnership. It's about teamwork. The manager here is more like a coach or just another member of the team. Think of a high-end design studio or a scientific research team. It's not about hierarchy, it's about responsibility. Everyone feels ownership, and that's when you get that magic combination of self-discipline and genuine excitement for the work. So when you step back and look at these four models lined up, you see this incredible progression. It's not just four different styles, it's the actual story of management growing up. I mean, look at this journey. We started with a foundation of pure power. Then we shifted to a foundation of money and resources. From there, we evolved to a foundation of leadership. And now we're at a place where the foundation is teamwork. It's a complete transformation in how we see the very relationship between a company and the people who work there. So, what's the bottom line? What should you take away from all this? Well, first, it's that clear evolution from controlling people to empowering them. Second, it's really important to remember that none of these models are just good or bad. They each serve a purpose and meet a different human need. And third, and this is probably the most important part, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. The best leaders today are like chameleons. They know how to adapt their style to fit the situation, the people, and the work that needs to get done. And that leaves us with a couple of questions for you to think about. Seriously, look around at your job right now. If you're in charge of people, which one of these models are you building? And if you're an employee, which one are you living in day to day? The answer to that, well, it tells you a lot about your little piece of this giant people puzzle.